Hey guys, Mike here from Lunch Money Comics. Today I'm at Brickhouse Comics in Meriden, Connecticut, a huge comic book and toy warehouse, having a big sale today. See if we can find some good stuff. I remember these guys.
No, second print.
And then randomly start getting everything. Is that an Android thing? Gotta be.
Lots of cards today.
I don't know.
Awesome. Nice. Oh yeah.
It should be the best-selling book in America.
No, I wouldn't think it used to hockey skis. When you get rental skates, they have hockey-looking skates, but they're actually the figures that get big. So it's easier to skate with figure skates than it is with hockey skates.
really hate that altar. Yeah.
You got a lot more things. You all set, man? You out here? All right, thank you, bro. Nice to see you.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ladder. The rarest LB Cole. Wow. Some crazy good stuff. Wow. First Hawkeye. This is the actual first Living Tribunal. Pretty sure. Okay, guys, it's always a great time at Brickhouse Comics. Fantastic books, fantastic prices, and I'm pretty excited about the stack of books I got and the price that I paid. So let's go home and I'll show you guys everything that I found. So there you go. That was Brickhouse Comics in Meriden, Connecticut. If you've heard me mention that place on my channel in the past, that's because they go to a lot of the local New England comic book shows, especially the ones in Connecticut. And it's owned by an awesome guy named James. Not only does he have great comic books and prices, he's just a really nice guy. He actually gave me this t-shirt earlier this year. And yeah, like you guys saw, that was sort of their brick and mortar establishment. But it's not really like a store per se. I say it's kind of like a warehouse. It's actually more like an industrial sized garage. But instead of it being full of big vehicles, it's full of comic books and vintage toys. So, you know, heaven. But because they're always out like doing comic book shows and stuff, they're not open very often. They only open for special events or like every other weekend for like a day. And the reason why I was so excited to go down there is, even though I see them all the time at these comic book shows, he can only bring us a very small percentage of what's in that warehouse for obvious reasons. And because everyone loves his books and prices, it's always shoulder to shoulder. And I can never really spend an adequate amount of time going through these boxes to get the good stuff. So I was excited to go down for the day and really spend the whole morning there. However, I feel like I say this all the time, I was short on time. I'm a pretty busy guy, a very busy father. And while I was down there, my plans for the day changed. Ended up being that we decided as a family, my wife and kids were going to go to a basketball game at my alma mater. So I had to rush back. It took me over an hour to get down there. I only got to spend an hour there and had to drive an hour plus back. Basketball game was worth it. I loved hanging out with my family. But because of that, I only ended up with a small stack of comics. But I love what I got. And I definitely think I got a great price. So first and foremost, if you ever want to go to Brickhouse Comics, if you're in the Northeast, you don't just have to be in New England. I know people have made the pilgrimage from like Pennsylvania. It's a great place. As usual, I'll put some links down in my description so you can check them out. If you do go, definitely tell James that I said hi. And of course, guys, if you like this sort of stuff and you want to support the channel, you know the whole spiel. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell button. Follow me on Instagram under lunchmoneycomics@g. Hit me up in the DMs, guys. I love talking with every single one of you. So this first batch of comic books I'm going to show you I got out of the half price keys box. So James has lots of different boxes priced differently. These books I got out of these half price keys. They're all better books that are half or whatever the sticker price was. He also has like some minor keys that are like 70% off. He has dollar books, and you can also like fill a long box for like a certain amount of money. There's lots of ways you can go and do some damage on your wallet, guys, but the deals are always great. So these are the ones I got out of those half price keys. I gotta point out one thing right up front, guys. I see this all the time. There's a few people down in my comments that always harp on the listed price on the comic books they see. I just gotta say this. It's not the price that's printed on the comic books. It's what you actually pay for them. I not only got these for half price, I got them for less than that. So I'll tell you how much I paid at the end, guys, but definitely don't get obsessed with the sticker prices you saw in any of those books. That is absolutely not what I paid. So let's start with this one. I know I said I love everything I got. I'm lukewarm on this one, and it's this. So this is Wonder Woman #9 from Volume 2. It's from 1987, and this is a part of the George Perez Wonder Woman run that he did the art and wrote on most of them. This one was also written by Len Wein along with George Perez. And yeah, I'm not the biggest DC fan or Wonder Woman fan, but the reason I got this is because it does have some key significance. It is the first appearance of the third Cheetah, who is Barbara Minerva. Now, of course, Cheetah is a very long-time Wonder Woman foe, one of her most iconic arch villains. She goes all the way back to the Golden Age. There's been many iterations of Cheetah over the years. This is the third one, of course. And anyone who saw the movie Wonder Woman 1984, you saw the Barbara Minerva version of Cheetah played by Kristen Wiig. Now, I got this simply because I didn't have any DC books in this pile. I actually had a whole bunch of like smaller books that I had picked up. And when it was time to go, I ended up putting a whole bunch back. I don't know, maybe because it was DC, maybe because I love Cheetah. I think she looks kind of like Cheetara from, you know, the Thundercats. I'm not exactly sure. I do like a lot of these Wonder Woman George Perez covers. This one's okay, but it was 10 bucks. What can you say, guys? I ended up getting this book. It'll go in my, like, minor DC keys pile. Yeah, don't know why I got it, but I thought it was cool. Worth talking about on the channel, absolutely. Next up, this is a cool book. I actually own several copies of this book. It's one of those books that I always pick up when I see it. But this one's slightly different than the previous ones I own. It's this. This is the Fantastic Four number 348. It's from 1991. Story by Walt Simonson, art by Arthur Adams. You see this great cover right here. Now, like I said, I've owned this book in the past. I have several copies of it because this version of the team, you see, is called the New Fantastic Four, and it's the Hulk, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Ghost Rider. And these are certainly not new characters, although this is the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, which was pretty new at the time. And the reason why I liked this team so much as a kid was because I had their rookie card in the Marvel Series 2 trading cards. So I always like this comic book whenever I pick it up. I also love Art Adams, so I love this comic. However, you'll notice that this one is different because it is a gold cover. I actually have one of my other copies here. Is this. This is the normal first printing. You see here, I actually got to meet Art Adams. He signed it at Terrificon. I'm kicking myself, by the way. I also met Walt Simonson at the same show and forgot to have him sign this book. I've been angry about it ever since. So this is what the first print looks like with the white background. But as was a very common convention back in the 90s, when they did a second or even third print, they would change the color of the background. This is most evident in books like, you know, New Mutants 87, first appearance of Cable. The first print is red. Second print is gold. The same thing, first appearance of Bishop. Second print is gold. First appearance of Carnage. Second print is silver. They did this a lot. I don't know if it was to kind of attract sales or make it seem kind of like exclusivity back in the 90s. But you see this one has kind of a shiny gold cover. And I've never seen this book before. Even though I love this book, I've never actually seen this in person. It was really cheap. I absolutely had to pick it up. And now if I ever do meet, you know, Art Adams or Walt Simonson, I have a better and cooler book for them to sign. So I thought it was cool. Definitely worth picking up. If you haven't seen it before, guys, definitely grab it. Next up, we have, this is silly. I'll have to explain why I picked this one up. I got this. So this is Muppets Take Manhattan, issues 1 through 3. This is the official comic adaptation of the 1984 movie. These are from the same year, 1984. And yeah, I don't know if any of you have seen this movie or you're Muppet fans. I have seen it, and I do like the Muppets, but that's not the reason I got this. I got these because my wife loves the Muppets. See, my wife is not a traditional nerd, right? She's not. She's like a cool girl, but everyone's a nerd in some way. Everyone likes something beyond typical fandom. My wife is a nerd for the Muppets. She loves the Muppets. She's loved them since she was a little kid. They have a very soft spot in her heart. I saw these as a set, and I thought, that's pretty cool. I'll get it for her. I never get to get her, like, comic books and stuff. So I got these, and I showed it to her. She definitely liked them. But more importantly, my kids thought they were awesome. And my daughter, my young daughter, told me, quote unquote, these are the best comic books Daddy ever bought. So you've heard it here first, guys. From the mouths of babes, best comic purchase of my entire life. So pretty cool. I thought they were fun, guys. They were cheap. Happy to grab them. This next one, this is really cool. Recently, the last year or so, I've gotten into foreign language comics. I wasn't seeking out to get these, but I did some trades with some people in Europe. I got some pretty cool foreign language ones. I went to Quebec City. I got some ones in French. I'll pick them up if I think they're cool or if they're a title I really like, and that's actually what this is. This is De X-Mannen, number 127. So this is actually a Dutch version of Uncanny X-Men number 287. So, right, so the original 287 was from 1992. This is printed, I think, in Hungary in 1993, but it is in Dutch. And this actually does have some minor key significance here. This is actually when Bishop joins the X-Men. He had first appeared 5 issues prior, X-Men 282, I just mentioned. The second print was in gold. Yeah, he fights the team, actually, and then joins them. I also want to point out that the Uncanny X-Men title at this time was also up against another X-Men title, the Jim Lee X-Men. So the Uncanny X-Men title followed the Gold team, which you see up here in the corner of, you know, Storm, Jean Grey, Iceman, Archangel, Colossus, and that is who Bishop joined. The Blue team in the X-Men title was, you know, Wolverine, Gambit, Jubilee, Psylocke, Beast, Rogue, and the rest. So, yeah, pretty cool. I just thought this was really neat, guys. I didn't have a comic book in Dutch yet. Also, kind of fun things. Up here in the corner, you see it has prices in both Belgium and the Netherlands. You see that's Belgian francs. This is before the euro, you know, so Belgian francs and was it florins? Dutch florins. I don't know. I just like that sort of stuff, guys. And it's cool art. Actually, the story in this one actually happens to be by Jim Lee, which I thought was pretty cool. So pretty happy about this, guys. Pretty neat. The last one I got out of the half-price boxes, definitely a bona fide key. I recently talked to my channel about how I think it's kind of worth picking up some more modern comic books, especially if they appeal to the younger generations like my kids. If these are legacy books passing on to my kids, I like picking up stuff that they will like. And this is one that's certainly for a younger generation. And it's this. This is Sunfire and Big Hero 6 #1. It's from 1998. And this is the first appearance of the team Big Hero 6. If that name rings a bell, it's probably because you know the Big Hero 6 movie that was put out by Disney in like 2014, followed up by a couple of television shows as well on Disney+. And what Big Hero 6 was a premier like Japanese superhero team that forms in this series. This is by Lobdell, Vasquez, and La Rosa as a Vasquez cover. And yeah, it features like a whole bunch of new characters that were Japanese. So we have the first appearances of Gogo Tamago, Honey Lemon, Hero, who is a boy genius, and his android, Baymax. Now, the main star of that movie was Baymax, and most people remember him as being a big, cuddly, like, inflatable robot. And that's what people loved. That's what endeared them to the movie. You see here, definitely not a cuddly-looking robot. In the original story, he can actually turn into, like, a dragon. So they clearly changed him quite a bit for the movie to make him more of, like, kind of like the mascot and more friendly and stuff like that. But not only were they bringing a new Japanese superhero team, they brought in some veteran Marvel characters to kind of boost the sales. We see here some longtime X-Men affiliated characters of the Silver Samurai, usually a bad guy, and of course, headlining the book, Sunfire himself, a longtime X-Men affiliated character and member of the X-Men, you know, Japan's premier superhero. So because of the X-Men connections and because it is a key book and because my kids love that movie, I thought this was a cool book for them to pick up and have, you know, for a legacy collection that ever goes down to them. My kids saw it. They thought it was pretty cool. They were confused about Baymax, though, of course. But yeah, this one here is in pretty much perfect shape. It's absolutely mint, you know, for a modern book. That's what you're looking for. Thought it was pretty cool. Let me know down in the comments if you guys, you know, liked that movie or if any of you have collected the series or even read it. I'd love to hear your opinions on it. So I'll show you my last book in a second, but all these books here I got in these back issue bins, I got for a total of $50. Right, so I basically got each of these for like, you know, $10, and then I got like the series, all the Muppets for $10. I thought that was a pretty good deal, guys. I'm trying to cut back on clutter and get more quality over quantity, but I thought these were pretty cool and definitely worth picking up. But it's the last book. The last book, you saw it in the footage, guys. I wanted like at least one really good book to add to my collection that's been on my list. This was actually on their wall books, which were not half price. But like I said, James is a really good guy. He looks out for me. He actually pretty much gave this to me for half price. So let's talk about this. This is Amazing Adventures featuring The Beast. It's from 1971. I think it was released 71. I think it's cover dated March 72. We have a cover by Gil Kane, written by Jerry Conway, pencils by Tom Sutton, editor by Stan Lee. There is a claim to fame here, and it's a pretty cool one. I think it's obvious from what's on the cover. This is the first appearance of the furry Beast. So Hank McCoy, that we all know as a ever-loving, you know, blue furry X-Men character, although in modern comics he is a bad guy. But for a long time, he is a blue furry creature. But of course, we know when X-Men 1 came out, and for a long time, all through the 60s, he just looked kind of like a man with like kind of like ape-like features, and really agile and stuff. He doesn't become a furry beast until this issue right here. Now, remember what's going on. This book comes out in 1971. We haven't seen the X-Men in years, at least not in an original story. Their last issue of an original story was issue number 66. They were firmly in reprints right now. So we haven't seen the Beast for a while. So this book opens up with a furry creature you've never seen before fighting like a security guard. And it's only slowly revealed via flashback that the furry beast we see is actually the Hank McCoy we knew and loved from the X-Men title. And you find out that he actually extracted, you know, his mutant, you know, DNA, whatever, ends up re-injecting it into himself to change his appearance and ends up getting stuck as a furry beast. So you will notice something very interesting though. Beast is not blue here. He's gray. And that's what he is in the comic book. He's originally this gray color, but several issues after this, he fights the villain Quasimodo, who can like drain your life. And as a result of that fight and getting his life drained, he actually turns from gray to black. So yeah, he was supposed to be a black color. Actually, for a while, he was supposed to be. Here's the problem with black though, guys. When you're printing, you know, as with most things, when they're inking it, they can't just like ink the whole thing black. You'll have no context of what his, you know, fur is or his musculature or anything like that. So you guys see it all the time in comic books. When something's black, they ink the outline, but they have to fill it with a color while they're printing. And often they choose the color of dark blue. If you think about like Superman's hair, for instance, or like Colossus's hair, it looked blue because they had to fill it with something. So originally he turned darker, he was black, but because of printing, he was dark blue. But every iteration comic book that he came out in, that blue lightened a little bit until the point where everyone knew him as blue, and eventually in an Avengers comic in the 70s, he eventually admits, yeah, I'm just dark blue. And we've known that ever since. So I think it's actually pretty cool that Beast is blue nowadays because of basically printing issues. Very similar to how like Hulk, originally his first iteration was gray. Gray is notoriously hard to print in comic books back then. They changed him to green in the second issue, and he stayed green ever since. That is why Beast is blue. I thought it was a fun little factoid, pretty cool. I actually prefer him kind of as gray or as not blue because there's tons of blue X-Men characters, if you think about it. Nightcrawler, Mystique, Archangel. And I think it's just adds a little bit more intrigue and curiosity to this cool book. So let me tell you what I paid for this book, guys. I've been looking for this book for a while as an X-Men completionist, as an X-Men fan. I've wanted it for a while. I just didn't want to spend a lot of money on it. The original sticker price on this was $80. Like I said, it was on the wall books, not half price, but James ended up selling to me for pretty much half price. He's for $50. I think that's totally worth this book for that price, guys. You know, it's got some issues. It has a couple little chips on the sides here, but otherwise, it's a beautiful presenting book. I'm very happy to add this to my X-Men collection. And that also means for my grand total on the day, I spent $100 even. So I thought that was a pretty worthwhile trip. Even though it was an hour long, I got some pretty cool books to buy, add to my collection, give to my wife, and show off to all of you. So head down to the comments, guys, and let me know what you think of all of my purchases. Which one of these do you like the best, and do you think I paid a fair price? And that's it, guys. You know, in the meantime, keep hunting for comic books in strange and unusual places as well. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.